Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our special Christmas podcast episode featuring two very special guests of mine.
Thomas is my name, Thomas Brown. Although there's like nothing brown about me. Very white. My hair actually isn't even brown. It's auburn.
Cheers.
Looks brown right now, but yes, cheers.
And then our other.
Do you say cheers to being white? No, I won't press the matter.
Yeah, let's move on.
Hashtag Yellow Lives Matter. Anyways, and then we have another special guest. He's also he's white. He's Anglo. I thought that's what you were gonna say. I was like, yeah. He is actually a local celebrity here in Spokane, Washington. He worked at the #1 restaurant in the entire world. No joke.
Yep, that happened. I did that. I'm Jonathan. The restaurant was Noma. I didn't work there. I was an unpaid intern. I did lots of stuff that was kind of cool. But I was over there. I was in Europe for like 5 months. I worked in Denmark. That's where the restaurant was for like 3.5 months. And then I traveled to Scotland, Iceland, Germany, Italy, and back to Copenhagen, Denmark. Copenhagen, Denmark.
I do have one question. I'm sure we'll talk more about your experience. Mm-hmm. Did you start wearing scarves after your time in Europe?
Scarves? No.
That's a good question.
You should have asked if I started smoking cigarettes, though. There's so many people, every single person, boys, girls, old people, 12-year-olds, everybody. And they all hand roll. Everybody.
Did you learn how to hand roll cigarettes?
No, I don't. But, and it wasn't even, everyone over there told me it is way worse in Germany. Apparently Germany is just cigarettes everywhere. But nobody vapes, so it's just kind of funny. All old school tobacco.
Well, I'm very excited to be a part of this with you guys. And we have some fun things planned in this special podcast. So we'll start off with the first question. This is completely random. All right. We'll start with Robbie on this one. Thomas, do you want to read the question?
Robbie, could you describe to us your ideal first date, please?
This is for everybody.
No, it's for Robbie.
I don't actually know if I could. I don't have enough experience in the matter. It's like asking a teetotaler to describe his favorite whiskey. I don't know. It's like I couldn't say what my ideal first date is. I have such little experience.
Have you ever been on any date? A real person date? An adult date?
Dude,
this is a high school date.
Oh, yeah.
Because we found out he's 19 years old. Right?
No, I didn't date in high school. So I didn't date in high school. I didn't do any of that. But I haven't really. So couldn't say.
Johnny? That was very specific. I'd say just some like actually doing something. So not like going to eat or going to a movie, but like just like driving to a lake or like going up on a mountain or I don't know, playing baseball. Something that's that's real. Yeah. Or even an art competition. I don't know. Literally anything. Anything at all that's just like participating in the real world.
Is that because it's like that's fun for you? Or is there like reason kind of behind it?
I think because so like if you go to a movie for a first date, what's the accomplished goal here?
Sit next to the person for an hour and a half.
In silence for 4 hours, and then you'll go home. And you're like, okay. But same with, I mean, eating's kind of okay. Or like ending it, like doing stuff and then ending eating or starting eating. But if you just eat, it's also kind of weird, especially because like you're sitting across from a person. So like if at any point you just forget how to talk or something, you're just staring at a human that's across the table from you and you're watching them eat, which a lot of people get weird about watching people eat.
That is true.
But I think that's kind of silly because everyone eats. But especially girls, they don't like it when you watch them eat. And that's what you're doing if you're going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
No, you know, I appreciate your answer and I acknowledge that all of those things are, you know, what people do on, you know, dates. So why not just take the art competition with the eating, with the movie, and just do it all in one? So you just take like a canvas and some like felts,
Well, you can
and then like a burger, and you're at the movie theater, and you just do all three at once.
No. You can't waste all of your ideas in one date. Like,
one day.
how are you going to sustain a relationship?
What do you do for date number 2, Ethan? We did everything date number 1.
Well, you have to start mixing skydiving with scuba diving.
But that's one. Have you ever been skydiving?
No, I haven't. Well, I'm 19, but
You can do it over in Idaho.
we keep on going back. I know I look like a middle-aged man, but I'm actually quite young. I'm quite young. I haven't had a chance to do these sorts of things. Man, that sounds fun though.
My friends I worked at Coeur d'Alene Resort, and my friends would there's a skydiving place that's like an hour away, and they'd just be like, we're going skydiving after work. You want to come?
Oh my goodness.
I never went. Never went. I know. I don't know why I never went.
Do you regret that?
Maybe because you're risking your life for very little gain. But
There's a lot of gain. You learn so much about yourself when you put yourself in those kinds of situations.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yes, I would agree with that pretty much.
When I started rock climbing, I went rock climbing I haven't gone very many times, but with some friends. And like, I wouldn't consider myself deathly afraid of heights, but it definitely put me in like a whole different mindset because I would never see myself being on the edge of a cliff, you know?
Yeah.
And then like free climbing is a whole nother thing. And
you have free solo.
I've never done
It's a great documentary.
yeah, I've watched it. It's
very.
yeah, that's
That guy, it's Alex something, right?
yeah. All I remember, the thing I remember most is when he was like, yeah, I think I make about as much as a moderate dentist. While climbing. Through like sponsorships and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting away from the question.
Yeah,
Ethan, why don't you go next?
We're going, is it counterclockwise? So it's Thomas.
Okay, fine. Well, I think John put a very good spin on it, but I would take it even a step further. Like, I think a really good first date is when you're both doing something like that you haven't done before. You're like trying something new together. Because like not only is that a fun thing in my opinion, but it also helps you kind of get to know what someone's like when they're not like super comfortable. I think that's really important. Because a lot of times you can get into a relationship with someone and you've only been in a comfort zone and you never really get to know like what's behind that. And if you just start off by doing that, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, and you get super far in a relationship super fast.
Hopefully that's a good thing.
Right.
But if like,
But also you get really far really fast. So if it's like, if you don't like it, it's also a good thing.
or you can just be like, okay, well, that was a good first date, but we don't need to go on another one because I know
Is that how you're going to say that to them? Great first date, but you.
I'm not a very blunt person.
Nice. All right. Next question.
No, Ethan.
Right.
Oh, did you already describe your first date as going to the movie theater while eating while painting?
No.
I mean, there's not much time in there for talking or getting to know anybody, but you know, what is your ideal?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever really thought about like ideal. What's my like ideal first date? I think logically, it's kind of what you guys say. It's interactive where there's more like getting to know a person and communication versus just like stagnant staring at a TV screen watching like a movie. Yeah. So something that like I don't know, more adventure.
Doing math homework together.
Yeah.
Physics.
Going on a walk.
Yeah.
Walking around like
Anywhere.
anywhere.
New areas.
New areas.
Here's one interesting thing. So I know a couple. They've been married for 29 years. I think their anniversary is coming up in December. So going on 30 years. 30 years of marriage. And they dated and broke up, I think 3 or 4 times before they eventually stuck together. And they were telling me that they actually got to know each other better when they were just friends and their relationship actually grew deeper, and they had more and more fun when they were just friends than when they were dating. Then when everybody perceived them as a thing, when they went on dates, they actually had way more fun, and they got to know each other better in those group settings and just as friends. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Were they ever like friends before they started the relationship, or did it start out romantically?
They were friends
Okay.
before they were.
I definitely think friends before is great. I also
That's
think-
very hard to accomplish, though.
Yeah, especially in life, in real life.
That's true.
Yeah, but right. I think the best is if you hang out with a bunch of people
Yeah.
for several times. Like, so that's pre-first date, I think. So that's why I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And then, so you're not going in super cold turkey either. You just like have no idea. I hate online dating. Just the concept of it in general is one of the strangest. It's so strange.
It's socially dysfunctional to me.
Then you need to create an online friendship app.
Want to be my friend?
They had that for the longest time. It was called pen pals. You just wrote to people and they write you back.
Literal pen pals.
Yeah, literal pen pals.
We should make an app called Pen Pals.
I'm sure they already
I
have
was
one.
gonna say they might already have
But
one.
it kind of takes the value away from it, because if you have an app for pen pals, then you're just texting somebody. But pen pals, when you write a letter and you actually put the intention and value into it, delayed gratification. Yeah.
Pencil friends. That's what we'll call the app.
All right.
It'll literally be SMS messaging. It'll be text messaging, and we'll just make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about like being friends first. I think that's really, really important. Although it's also really important that many people go into dating, I think, with the wrong motivation, the motivation of just having a good time, as if dating is just for fun. And I don't know what you guys think about it. I'd be interested to know. It seems to me like that courtship that's designed towards a commitment, I think that's designed to lead to marriage. And I think it should be perceived as you're going to you're going towards that. If you're not going towards that, then you probably shouldn't waste your time developing a relationship that will just be ripped apart, But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'd say in any type of relationship, whether it's romantic or family member or friend, that you have to realize like what the ultimate purpose of the relationship which is to represent Christ. I think just as people, that's what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So then if we know that we're supposed to live for the kingdom, and then we know that every relationship that we have is supposed to glorify God, then, which this is kind of black and white, I could go more in depth on it. But then I feel like if we know like the truth, then we kind of know how to navigate relationships with anyone. More so than less.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. I think. Okay, I'll start with what you said. You said the fun thing, which I thought was pretty interesting. To go and just fun in general, there's very high value on fun and happiness in culture for no apparent reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no happiness isn't inherently good, and fun isn't inherently useful or genuine, or there's not really. But then there's things like joy. Happiness is almost like superficial, so that's like a whole different cultural thing. But as far as dating goes, I would very much agree with that. And I think people that seek out fun or happiness as their main, or even in their top, like even if it's your secondary goal in life, if all it is just to be on opioids, but in real life, right? Like not, you just want to be high, you want to be fun, you want to be happy, you want to feel good. Yeah.
No.
It's very not worth it. Plus, no one ever did anything like nothing noble, nothing honorable. They're not fun. I would say they're more joyful in accomplishment. But so I'd agree. Fun is not that it has no place, but personally, that's something I learned a lot in the last couple of years. But fun is not all that's worked out to be.
Yeah. Well, and like you say, the things that are worth it, like a true commitment, a true relationship. I've never talked to a couple that's been married for very long, and I never talked to them and they ever tell me that it's just fun. Like it's just fun. Most often the response I most commonly get is that it's really hard and then there are these moments that make it all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's probably the truth, that it's really not like a good relationship, especially between a man and a woman, but in everything, it's not all fun, and not even a friendship should be based around fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you said Christ as the example in relationships. Right?
I don't know. I just think of fruits of the spirit, and it's like love, joy, peace.
Okay,
so it's like
I was just gonna say,
when if your relationships are if based off of love and joy, like it's not always going to be super happy.
those things.
I don't know. I think it's just kind of your intentions. It's each person's experience.
I was just really quick. I was just gonna say the one thing I think is kind of annoying that people like to do, and which I understand why you did it too, but when people say it should just be based on Christ, it's a very broad statement, and you're like, it's very hard to put that into an actual thing that you do in the world, like with your hands.
Yeah, well, in the actual doctrine of Christianity, there's a lot more practical stuff, like love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. It's like you have to love your
neighbor.
Yeah, I mean, there's all,
which I know that's what you meant, but I thought I'd just bring it up.
But no, I agree. It's tough.
I think it's really important. It's so cliche, and I hate speaking in cliches, but when it's true, I can't avoid it. But somebody once said that marriage isn't designed for happiness, it's designed for holiness. And I think that could basically sum up all of our opinions on this matter.
I listened to a sermon.
Oh, Thomas, do you have any? You kind of haven't.
No, I mean, I agree with most of what's being said for sure. One thing I thought about pointing out was, like, a lot of people, if you ask them, like young people in a church, you ask them, what's the purpose of dating? And they'll just say like, oh, well, the purpose of dating is to get married. But I kind of liked how you start out by saying, like, even though it is kind of vague and impractical just to phrase it like that, it's like the purpose is to honor Christ, like not just to marry somebody. It's a lot bigger than that. And I think, like, when people just think that dating's for marriage, it's like, well, I can find anyone that I feel happy with, kind of like what we're talking about, and then just get married, and that's the purpose. But when it's about honoring Christ, some people describe it as like, as you follow the Lord's will for your life, you're headed in a direction. And then while you're doing that, you might find someone else heading in a similar direction. And then you think, like, okay, well, maybe we could both honor the Lord with where we're going together better than apart. And it's like, that's what I think I would like to look for. I haven't found it yet, but it's more than just like, I'll just find someone,
I think statistically it's Christian people who identify as Christians in America. I think it's over, is it 50% still get divorced? It's over 50%.
No, I think it's lower. It's just marginally lower than the rest of the world.
It's like,
The problem is because everyone says they're Christian.
it's true.
Yeah. Very few people are. We're going so far away from the question. I don't know if you want to do another.
So actually, that's the joy of the podcast, though. We don't need to worry too much. Like, we can have this discussion and just wander around.
Anyways, it's
guess-
around 40 to 60%. A lot of people get divorced. Even Christians get divorced. But it was what was it? I heard it was a guy say at church one time. He's like, I never met a couple whose intentions were both to live for the kingdom of God that have ever gotten divorced that he's seen. Which is such a broad topic. Yeah. That's such a broad subject. But you know the purpose when I say that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of factors that can determine the chances of divorce.
Okay, on a different topic. We'll start with Jonathan this time.
Okay.
Do you think that the easy accessibility... Oh, this isn't the really complicated one, I thought. Do you think that the easy accessibility of modern media has decreased the value and quality of entertainment? All right.
It's not as complicated as one of them.
Yeah, one of them's really... I thought...
Because one of them it took me like... I still don't...
religious?
Yeah, I still didn't really understand.
It was a joke. It's not a real question.
Okay, I kind of thought that, and then I couldn't... I was trying to figure out what they're trying to mean, and I was like...
The fact that there wasn't even a question mark at the end, it was just a statement, and they didn't understand what they were saying, so, yeah.
I was like, what in the world? Okay. So easy accessibility of media equals dysfunction of society, right? That's pretty much what the gist of the question is. Oh, decrease the value and quality of entertainment. I also think there was something in there about social dysfunction from the original question. So I would say first thing would be versus what? Like, what are we comparing it to? Are we comparing it to 1800s? Are we comparing it to like what, immediately before social media?
Well, it's just a relatively recent thing that we've even had this media whatsoever. So historically, for thousands of years, we've just had normal human interaction and writing and live productions. But only recently have we had mass-produced media and then mass-distributed media, and then anybody now can be an artist. So, like historically, it required specialized training. It was just as much of a technical skill as plumbing. Like there were specialized artists and composers. They were trained from childhood to be an artist, and it was
both plumbers and artists were very poor.
Yes.
Everyone was very poor.
Yeah, because everyone was very poor. And now anyone can be an artist, and
It's called being a influencer, right?
Is that considered art? No,
I don't think so, but
Dude, if you talk to the right person, anything in the world is considered art.
Yeah,
because they have a very broad.
Yeah, it's really the word art and the word poetry are both words which are very hard to define.
So what's the answer to the question?
Sorry. So I'd say it messes with everything, but there's some good stuff too. But your neurochemistry gets messed up. You forget. You're like your literal body forgets how to just sit in a room with people. One thing I noticed personally is facial expressions, like making sure like to get your emotion across in a room to make the right face is because you don't do it anymore. You don't have to do it for anything. Mm-hmm. And so I try really hard to like use my face to say convey more stuff. Animated. Yeah. Well, but yeah. I mean, basically. But then also kind of picking up on faces and bodies and how people...
Body language, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's lacking. And then it also shortens your attention span greatly, obviously.
Wait,
fast-paced, high consumption.
Dude, okay. Nice joke.
It wasn't a joke, was it? Okay. So... that's not super great, but at the same, so it's not super great for like, if you want to read a book or like go super in depth into learning astrophysics, something where you have to sit and read. But at the same time, it increases your ability to consume information.
Yeah.
But you do run into a dilemma of what's called perceived knowledge, which is where you're watching a video and then you're watching it and you're like, oh yeah, like this guy's talking. I totally get it. I know everything he's saying, and you know it. And then you shut it off and you didn't learn any of it at all. So you don't know it in the reality, but you think you know it. Mm-hmm. And huge problem. Yeah. And then a lot of problems come from that. Like you go to reference it and then you're just like, it's half baked, and then you convey the wrong point and you're not good at it.
Yeah, that's how a lot of really half baked is the perfect word for it, because it's not necessarily wrong all the time, but that's how a lot of half baked philosophy and really ill-formed worldviews have become so strongly held now. I think I didn't actually think about that perceived knowledge.
Yeah. We even kind of talked about that with like the university education, that's kind of part of it too. Perceived knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, because you have a degree, like you're all of a sudden, smarter than someone who doesn't.
Yeah. So that's well, I'll say the two other things I thought that could be beneficial. No, it's good. I just wanted to get beneficial. Yes.
Sorry, guys. I love you.
It's okay.
It's you.
It's fine. I don't. Yeah. If you're good at picking up on concepts and abstract stuff, you can get a really good big picture perspective from social media because it's so much. It's like you're almost viewing statistical media because it's just such a high volume. But you have to be good at it,
and you also have to be aware of the perceived knowledge. One gets a feeling like they are actually seeing the real state of the world, but one is not actually seeing the real state of the world. And when we're talking about media, I think it might be best to limit it to social media, but also it's not limited to that in practice. Most people's worldviews are formed by the movies they watch, by the TV shows they watch, by the celebrities they follow, and stuff that is not actually ever confronted or proven in their mind. And most of these beliefs, which people hold very strongly, seem to be formed just by osmosis, where they never know when they started believing it, but then eventually they have to reach a crisis where they confront it or reaffirm it.
Because a lot of it's someone preaching, right?
Yeah.
So it's much more beneficial to watch, like, there's some kind of news shows like Steven Crowder or Timcast IRL or Tim Pool. He's an independent news guy, and they have people that don't agree with them on their channel on purpose. Yeah, which is extraordinarily useful because otherwise, anyone can preach without anyone talking to them. Yeah, and they can say it if they're just charismatic person. Yeah, and you're just like, I don't right, and they can do like they can even if they're trying to deceive you, they could do stuff like. Say like I read such and such blah blah, and they can just lie. But if they say it confidently enough, you're like, I don't even need to check it. I believe this guy. Yeah. This guy's legit. Yeah. Must be here for a reason. Yeah. And then instant communication is the other thing, which changed the entire world.
Do you think it's devalued communication? Because I recently, I actually want to know your guys' opinions on this. I recently have taken up handwriting letters for some of my communication. Like when I communicate with some family members, I'll handwrite letters or notes instead of just texting them and sending it there. And I've noticed, firstly, I put a lot more thought into what I'm about to say, which is something I never really thought about. So I am very careful to not say anything which I would regret later. But then also, I just feel a lot more satisfied with the entire experience of communication. If I have to put a stamp, which requires resource to mail this to my, let's say a family member on the West Coast, I suddenly feel like that was much more meaningful to me. Even though I could have done billions of times the amount of communication just over Messenger or a chat. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Of the question of what you do.
Well, the question is like talking about devaluing. Yeah. Like, does it devalue those different types of, just normal human interaction?
I think what you were saying, like we covered pretty much the whole, I don't have anything else to add to that question personally, but I do appreciate what you're saying with like the letters. Cause I guess if it's more of a long distance communication, I would normally resort to a phone call, but I don't know. Do you guys think that phone calls are better than letters?
Better than letters.
Yeah, I definitely think it's better than texting.
I agree.
I hate texting.
I hate texting too. I hate it so much. Like so much. Only thing it's used for is instant communication that doesn't need to be perceived immediately. So like, Mom, I'm going to the store Saturday, but it's like Tuesday. Yeah. And you don't need to call your mom for that. Yeah. But if someone texts you and you're trying to have a conversation, I get bored instantly, and it's not back and forth the same way. It's awful. It's atrocious.
Okay, so in phone conversations, you have the advantage of being able to read their inflection and hear them say it the way they would say it. With texting, you don't even have that. You just have what they read or what they wrote. So with letters, since so much attention has to be put into the actual content of a letter, I think it's superior, maybe even to phone calls, because they have to focus very much on the medium, and they have to make sure that what they're saying is what they mean. They actually have to pay a lot of attention. Texting, it's really convenient. You don't have to worry about that. But with phone calls, you're also missing out on body language, though, which is a huge part of human interaction. I think somebody said like 80% of the way we read people is body language.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, next question. Are we ready?
Sure.
Ethan, this one's for you.
Holy cow.
Oh, it literally is for you. Okay.
Wait. Some of them we had to redact.
Oh yeah, maybe not that one. Actually, let's do a different one.
This is from one of our haters.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, never mind.
Really?
No, this one's okay.
Can we not make it? do we need a lighthearted question before we have
This is a lighthearted
Okay,
question.
sweet.
Yes. Ethan, we'll start with you.
All right.
Back right corner, I guess. Okay. What would be your reaction being a shepherd and seeing the angels above Bethlehem?
Oh, that's so lighthearted.
Yeah, that is really lighthearted. I like this question. Yeah. Thank you very much. What?
Being a shepherd, seeing
The angels
Angel.
telling you Jesus.
Oh, do you want to look at it? Sorry.
After it's crumbled?
It's not crumbled. I just folded it.
Crumbled.
This one I did.
what would my reaction be?
Accelerated folding.
Just take your time, by the way. Just think about, well,
I'm trying to like if I was in that situation at the moment.
By the way,
it's pretty.
Your reaction has to be in Aramaic if it wants to be historically accurate.
Yeah.
Were they speaking Aramaic? Or Greek? Was it heavily Greek influenced? Because why did they write everything in Greek? Paul and all of them wrote everything in Greek, right?
did the Gospels get written in Greek too?
I don't know. See now
Paul wrote
Jesus spoke Aramaic, though.
He did.
he spoke. I think isn't it? He's supposed to. We were getting so off topic. I think he spoke multiple languages. I think he spoke Greek too, or is supposed to have, because it doesn't really. That's inferred from
What's the
other.
original language?
Yeah, I don't know.
I would,
Hebrew.
if I was in their position, I'd be excited.
Would you? What if are we assuming that he's so we can't assume you're a Christian because Christians don't exist
That's right.
at this point in time. You're just a shepherd.
I would be
Some rando.
in awestruck.
Do you think you'd be scared? So think, because you haven't read the Bible either,
Yeah.
because that doesn't
I
exist
would
either.
probably-
Unless, I mean, you might have read the Old Testament, maybe.
Because
You probably would have had to study the Old Testament.
So I guess you would at least understand angels in there.
And also, you're the shepherd, so you're kind of the outcast and the lowest caste of society. So
I would probably be confused and somewhat nervous. Scared.
Yeah, whenever
Minimum
someone...
nervous. I would say bare minimum nervous.
yeah,
I'm
just nervous.
Personally, for me,
I remember when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
when we used to read like the accounts in the Bible, in the Old Testament and New Testament, when like someone would see an angel, they'd always freak out. And then the angel would always say, like, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought like, man, if an angel ever comes to me, I'm going to be like trying as hard as I can to not freak out just like everyone else. Like, I'd love to just enjoy the moment, but I don't know if I could do that.
No,
They're so weird looking.
My reaction would be something along the lines of, no, I mean, because we think of angels as the way Western art has represented it, with the nice, the nice looking with the wings and the gowns and everything. But the glory of something which we just can't comprehend, like it's described as being too much. People have accidentally worshipped angels. Yeah, it's a pretty easy mistake to have. It's pretty easy to do that because they're just so otherworldly, so much better.
plus they're like, no, I'm not 100%. I'm 100% on the Old Testament. I don't know about the New Testament. I don't think in the New Testament, does anyone know, do they describe them as humanoid in any capacity? Because the Old Testament, there's no humanoid descriptions. Like,
Same in like Revelation 2.
yeah,
Well,
they're all like,
Angels do take the form of men frequently, because I think of the Sodom and Gomorrah.
yeah, that's a good point. God's also there. God's just walking around as a dude.
Yeah. Or, elsewhere, though, they take the form of men.
That's true. So I guess that would, they probably have multiple physical, like way you look at it.
Yeah.
But the one that, like, if you read Ezekiel's descriptions,
To the wheels in the eyes.
dude, and if you thought about, like, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. And
The word other comes to my mind every single time. It says something beyond our comprehension.
yeah.
They have to dumb down their appearance for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Or don't. And then you're terrified.
Yeah. So I think in general, our response would probably be what they actually had as a response, which was probably a little bit surprised.
Yeah, because as a kid, everyone's like, "Oh, I'd be so happy, so happy." And then you grow like, you don't have to grow up, but if you just think about it for a second, you're like, because you're assuming you're who you are now,
Yeah.
but you're not.
And okay, who here, when confronted, like in their especially more human moments, when I'm confronted with something that's much better than me, I don't always feel happy.
So now we have some questions for Thomas Brown.
Hey, great. What are they?
All right. So first question. What's your favorite musical instrument besides guitar?
Which guitar are we talking about? Like acoustic or electric?
Besides guitar. It doesn't matter. No guitar. You can't say the guitar.
All right. My favorite musical instrument in general or to play? Both?
Both.
Neither?
Sure.
Okay, both. Well, that's a really good question. I think to play, I would have to say, other than guitar, piano. Just because I play way more piano than trumpet, and the trumpet's like the only other instrument that I really know how to play very well. But other than those, I really like, I know technically it is a guitar, but it's called a resonator guitar. And those things are super sweet because it's like a regular guitar, but it's all, most of them are like metal. And then they have like, instead of the regular sound hole, they have like an actual built-in contraption that changes it to a really twangy sound.
Cool.
And if you guys
Like
want to hear it,
Joey?
kind of, it's more like a bluegrassy type instrument, but I'll have
That's
to
cool.
play some music for you guys.
Can you play a 12-string guitar?
Yes, I can. It's a lot less complicated than you think because they're harmonized. It's like 2 strings for every 1 string on a regular guitar.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Nice.
great. Next question. That was fun.
That was the easy one.
Yeah, that was
Just kidding.
that was not that hard.
Most memorable childhood memory, and you can't say anything from high school.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's not really childhood.
Yeah.
It's childhood for me, but I just grew up slow.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is a bad memory. And that was when I went to Disneyland when I was like 8. And, you know, Disneyland's supposed to be where dreams come true.
No.
But when I was 8 years old at Disneyland, I was watching the fireworks that they do like every night at Sleeping Beauty's castle. I was sitting on a railing and my feet got like all intertwined in the railing while I was sitting there, and I suddenly fell forward with my hands in my pockets. And I ended up like face planting into the asphalt and breaking my 2 front teeth.
I
And they were
remember
like-
you having broken teeth.
Yes. Yeah.
That's funny.
So they were adult teeth too. They just grew in. So I had to like,
Do you have fake teeth?
yeah, they're crowns.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was like a whole, I mean, I remember hitting the ground, and of course I was 8. So I was like sobbing because I was in a lot of pain and shock.
Stop now.
And then I also vividly remember all of the surgeries that I had in my mouth. And a lot of people say like, oh, wisdom teeth, terrible. But like I had those and a root canal and like a bunch of prep surgeries for the root canal. That means, yeah, that's like a lot of shots in your mouth that you don't want. So that was all when I was like 9.
That's intense.
So
That's a bummer.
that's a very vivid memory.
Favorite childhood memory, huh?
Not favorite. She said memorable.
That's it. Did say memorable memory.
These are
Very
called
redundant.
core memories.
Glad you pointed that out.
What kind of dog breed would you be?
Dog breed. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know if I know you well enough to say. I don't know dog breeds well enough to say.
If I had pictures, then I could be like this one, but I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Pepper.
You know what? I normally say like lab or a retriever or something. Like I think that represents my personality pretty well. Except I think I'm also a lot more mellow than I used to be. So there's that.
And now Cameron's looking at you, just like studying you. Are you a
I was
lab?
gonna say a lab or a golden retriever.
Yeah, you look more like a.
Definitely not a Dachshund.
Yeah, you're a lab.
Did you really just pronounce that the way I thought you pronounced that?
Am I pronouncing it wrong?
Dachshund?
Dachshund.
Isn't that how it's supposed to be pronounced?
I think it is supposed to be dachshund. That's funny. Unless you're talking about 2 different things. But
I'm pretty sure the German pronunciation is Dachshund.
So it should be pronounced Dachshund.
Yeah, it's Dachshund. It's Dachshund. No, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, though I do know if it is German, and I'm pretty sure it is, that is how you pronounce it. So
All right, Thomas.
My grandmother was German. She actually immigrated from Germany.
me too. Dude, what are the odds? Actually, pretty high.
Great. Next question.
Favorite Star Wars movie and character?
What? Oh man. I feel like any answer that I give is going to disappoint some people. And I hate that because I'm naturally a people pleaser.
You're gonna make enemies. This is actually probably the hardest question.
Okay. Well, I grew up when the prequels were being made. So that's a very important factor. And because of that, I really enjoy the prequels. And I know that a lot of people like think they're terrible movies because of Hayden Christensen, and he is like
The greatest actor of all time. Sand in all the places. I like Hayden Christensen.
Okay, like, to be honest, if we're talking about that movie, it wasn't his fault. It was like he was doing his best with a pretty bad part.
I compare the prequels of Star Wars to like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is not a good actor in that movie, but that's why you love it so much because it's so weird and so quirky.
Well, and too, just the budget and like they hadn't gotten it down to a science yet. They were still trying to figure out what they were doing. So yeah, no, totally get that.
So if I had to pick from the prequels, I would say 3 has the most memes. So that's pretty great. But I actually enjoy the first one the most.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, Phantom Menace.
I love Jar Jar Binks.
I really love the fight scene from that. Actually, the prequels have some really good fight scenes in there, and despite how flippy and how quick it can be, and it's really hard to understand what's going on. But if we're talking about just technique and everything, it's really beautiful. It's like really pretty stuff.
But as far as favorite character, I don't know. Like if I could point it out, I think Obi-Wan is like one of the most OG because I guess he's not in every movie anymore, but he's great and super stable character. I like that guy a lot. I will say I'm a big fan of some of like the newer movies that they like the filler movies, I guess, that they've come out with. I really like Rogue One. And then Solo, I personally like that movie a lot. I know some people don't, but
I will back Thomas.
It's really creative. Yeah, it's a good movie. Any more questions?
One says tell a funny joke. I don't know if you have jokes on hand.
Uh,
Doesn't have to be a good joke.
Okay, well, this is one I told a lot in high school. So what's the highest form of flattery? Does anyone know?
I don't even remember.
I've heard you say this before. I forget though.
Some would say imitation, which is technically correct, but I would say plateau.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I know. It's not that good. I actually have like a bunch of story jokes that I think are pretty great, but they take forever to explain. So probably not a good setting for that.
Those are like my favorite though, where it's like this super long story and then like the
You draw them
is
in.
just like a pop at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty great.
Yeah. If anyone knows about the purple flower joke.
Okay, you got 2 questions left. So one is pick a number between 1 and 10.
3.
Nice.
Easy.
Okay, and then the last question is
That wasn't a question. Come on now. Yeah, get better, guys. Get better. I'm sorry. That wasn't meant to be hostile. Next question.
Last question is which sister is your favorite?
Yeah. Okay. So we were going to try these. That is a trap, and I will not be answering that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Come on, let's get on with it. I don't need all that jazz about smugglers and pirates.
Listen tomorrow night for the concluding adventure of the Black Pirate Ship. Now it's time for Annie's secret message for you members of the Secret Circle. Remember, kids, only members of Annie's Secret Circle can decode Annie's secret message. Remember, Annie is depending on you. Set your pins to B2. Here is the message.
Fezziwig. That's right. The character from A Christmas Carol named Fezziwig.
All right, guys, and now we're on to Chef Johnny's, take number 3. All right, guys, now we're on to Chef Johnny's Christmas assortments.
It's not super Christmassy. It's kind of It's kind of Christmassy.
So this is where we're going to be sampling some of the exotic foods that Johnny has created.
I didn't create all of them, but actually we'll go savory to sweet here.
Savory to sweet, I like it.
Okay. One for you.
Oh, thank you.
One for you. One for you.
Sir.
For me. we'll start with. I got all sorts of things in here. We'll start with some lacto fermented tomato leather.
What?
So you take tomatoes.
And you take leather.
No. Yes. Yes.
Could you make shoes out of those?
Yes.
Dude, I would wear those.
You cannot make shoes out of
There's got to be a niche for that somewhere, John.
Here's your
How do you pronounce that word?
Niche?
Niche.
I don't know.
or niche.
I feel like niche just makes you think of philosophy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like
But that is
Nietzsche.
how it's pronounced, I'm pretty sure. Niche.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, if you're not American. If you're American, you just say niche.
If you're America,
I was expecting it to be more like those fruit
leathers.
fruit leathers.
Yeah, it's more like paper, huh? It's really thin. So it's super intense. It's kind of
intense.
so it's like
It's tomato paste?
no. So it's just eat it. Just eat it. Go for it. Eat it. See what happens.
How do you eat it? Do you like just let it melt on your tongue or
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that something that you like put in like things like soups or stews to give it more like
You can. It dissolves in hot water. You can also use it like a garnish. But there's not a lot of it, so I kind of just use it to do that to people's faces.
It is very intense.
I like it.
Yeah.
You were right.
Yep. It's
put that in like a Bloody Mary or something?
yeah, it's also would be really good in there. So you take tomatoes, you ferment them, super easy. Then you strain them so it's super smooth paste, spread it out, dehydrate it, turns into fruit leather. Next, we have fermented dried plums.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are these also intense? Or are they just
They're less intense, but they're still
Probably just like Now this is more like a fruit leather.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ferment plums, then you got to peel them. I made a bunch of powder from the peels, so dehydrate the peels, pulverize it,
That's good.
turn it into powder. Okay, so from there we'll go to kimchi.
Why are you looking at me like that, John?
How do you feel about kimchi? Have you never had it?
Never had it.
This is gonna be
had kimchi
This is gonna.
Oh my
You can
God.
probably
I
already
love
smell
kimchi.
it. It's a very potent thing.
Do you make fishy kimchi?
No, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Do you put sardines in
just
it?
No, just
white
fish
belt
sauce.
and kimchi.
This is not going to be super. It's going to be kind of messy because you guys just haven't had good.
potent.
I told you.
Is it more potent than normal kimchi?
I don't know. You guys. It's
Pass
gonna.
the spoons around.
Oh, hey, that's a good idea. Oh, here I could just put it on a spoon.
Oh, what?
Here.
Holding
We'll,
may I have some more?
we'll maybe.
I feel like I'm in some like Korean orphanage right now. Just waiting for my turn.
They pass out kimchi every day.
Korean orphanage. I had a friend that was raised in a Russian orphanage and got the living hell beat out of him. Yeah, burning with cigarettes.
Oh my
God! It was a rough childhood, and he always would make very light of it and joke, and you'd be like, "Wait,
have to.
well, yeah," and you'd be like, "Wait, what?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, they just beat us over the head with bats." And you're like, "What?" Like, yeah, we'd be kneeling on the ground face down, and they just hit us in the head with bats. And you're like,
Anchorman, and then they'd eat him.
"Yeah, right." And you're like, "What in the world?"
Chicken and the king.
Yeah.
Bottoms up.
Go for
All
it.
do it at the same time.
So it's he's nervous over here. I can feel the nervousness. It's garlicky, gingery, fermented fish sauce, cabbage, Korean chilies, all that kind of stuff.
Cheers.
Sour, pickly, kind of spicy.
You know, it doesn't smell too good, but I actually really, really like it.
That's more
It's
ginger.
quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's real gingery. It's you learn to appreciate the smell.
Mm-hmm.
It lives in my room. Literally,
Alright.
it literally lives there because it's alive. Okay.
It's like what is that stuff called? Like, wow, I can't even remember the name. It's like that kombucha. Yeah. That's weird stuff.
So next we got miso.
Miso.
Mesothelioma.
Is which is a derivative of soy sauce or shoyu, which is what soy sauce is actually called.
Shoyu.
As a broad topic, is a derivative of miso from long time ago. But this is chickpea miso, so made from chickpeas, like hummus, right? Okay. But miso is, you use this magical mold called koji, and it's the mold in Japan that they use that's how they make sake. So instead of malting barley is where you sprout barley and then you roast it. So it stops the growing process, and the sprouting starts to turn starches into sugars. And then you make malt out of that, which is, or the liquor, the liquid, the mash. And that's your sugary liquid that you're fermenting into beer. Well, in Japan, they grow mold on the rice, and the mold converts the starch into sugar. And then they make a sweet, sugary liquid that they ferment into sake. All that being said, the mold it's the most magical. It's like transform. So it produces protease, amylase, and protease?
Lipase?
Yes. Yep.
Nice job, Tom. Thanks, man.
And so protease breaks down proteins and amino acids. Amylase breaks down starches into sugars, or compound carbohydrates into not compound carbohydrates. Right. And then lipase breaks down fats into
lipids.
Yeah, lipids. So that's great for this. You can do all sorts of stuff, but so this kind of tastes like soy sauce is what all that means. But you're eating magic mold, so
magic mold,
but not the real magic mold, commonly known as LSD,
right?
Oh, or ergot.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so this is mold.
Well, it's chickpeas with mold grown in it.
So I like me some moldy chickpeas.
It tastes like soy. It's very soy saucy, and it kind of has a fermented pineapple-y thing.
Mazel tov.
Or grilled pineapple-y thing going on with it there. This is a growing experience for everyone here.
Yeah, this is really cool. It's quite good.
Initially, it was a little.
It's salty, and it's. It's not really meant to be.
You can definitely taste the mold, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not meant to be just eaten, really. But you guys did it anyway.
To be honest,
yeah. Well, no, that's how. That's how you taste it.
And I think it's the mold that makes it taste. It just tastes a little bit cheesy, like when you're saying the moldy flavor to very musty. Yeah.
If you smell it, it smells
like the.
No, it smells a lot like grilled pineapples.
Grilled pineapples.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know if I would have deduced that if you wouldn't have just said it. But
yeah. Huh.
Or what it really is much closer to is fermented pineapples. But I assume most of you haven't smelled fermented pineapples.
No, that's not my usual go-to.
There's a really good South American drink called Popchat. Yeah, and it's fermented pineapple juice. Super good. Best cocktail I ever had. There's a restaurant in Denmark, Rosio Sanchez, Taqueria, and she was former Noma person. She opened her own taco place in Norway, in Denmark, which is kind of crazy, but
I'm sure there's a big customer base for tacos.
Surprisingly, yes, they really like tacos there, but none of them. There was one other good taco place there that made it like actual good tacos, but most of them are pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice restaurant. Best cocktail I ever had. Super nice mezcal, which is like a smoked tequila, and tepache, salted rim. Super simple, and it was magical. It was one of the best things I've ever drank in my entire life, across from anything. Top 20. That was a lot. But have you guys ever had dates?
Yeah, like we went over earlier. We haven't gone on a lot of dates.
Oh my word! That was actually a good job. That was a good dad joke.
Is this like a nice bundle date, or is this like just a?
Are we still talking about are we still playing on that joke? Or is that actual? Okay.
I didn't even really intend to bring these dates, but they were here, so I figured you guys could have it.
So what's special about these dates, Charlie?
They're nothing special about them. They're just dates. But if you've never had a date before,
Kind of date.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the date where you can watch a movie because you already had the conversations.
Yeah.
You got to know them as a person.
Yeah.
For you?
Sir.
For you?
This represents 5th date.
All right.
Sure. Oh, it tastes like sugar, basically.
Oh, I love dates.
Yeah.
Well, like dates, like these.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
he's just all around. He's just
like right now.
he's a player. He really likes dates.
Oh yeah, we moved to sweet stuff. If you couldn't tell. Also, I
Tastes
found.
savory to me.
Also, I found these at Super One, and I got them because hardly anyone ever. Has anyone ever had a kumquat?
Nope.
Yeah,
This is-
I have.
Have you?
I have. But
This is gonna blow
I
your
have-
marbles.
They look like-
Do you want one,
looks like
Cameron?
marbles.
Do you want any of
Not
this?
very
Sure.
well tomatoes.
yeah.
Kumquats are ground cherries, right?
No. So,
how about I don't want to know what I don't want to even know. I just want to put it in my mouth and then you explain it to me after.
Yeah, actually, you should explain it while we're eating it.
Yeah.
all right.
That
You
way
put
it's-
the whole thing. Put the whole thing in your mouth and eat it.
Is there a seed?
There might be, but you can eat them. But there's no pit.
Bottoms up.
Cheers.
Oh, that was not what I expected.
This is much better than the one I had.
Yes.
What is that?
Just tastes like an orange to me.
Like a really good orange, right?
Yeah.
With like a bite of the rind. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a citrus fruit, but they're cool because you just eat the whole thing, the peel and everything. And it tastes like candied orange peels a lot because you get the texture of the pith and everything.
Where do kumquats come from?
They come from Quat.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's that?
Duh. I couldn't tell, really, honestly. I don't know. I'd imagine tropical, moderate climates. Oh, here. Did you get one? Did I give you one? Oh, good.
Nice.
I couldn't remember. Now, these are very special. These are blackened apples. You guys heard of blackened garlic before?
Nope.
Yeah.
So blackened, have you heard of the Maillard reaction before? Okay.
No.
Mini food science lesson here. Maillard reaction was discovered by a guy named Maillard. Go figure. And it's the entire category of chemical reactions that are responsible for browning, like browning meat.
Like Thomas.
Yes, like Thomas Brown. It's the only reason you exist.
Admire my art.
Yeah. So,
Learning a lot.
Originally, you were much more pale pink, and
I thought I was German.
So.
man, you're learning so much today, Thomas. But there's so many chemical reactions, and it's so they were like, we don't need to worry about it. We're just gonna call all of it the Maillard reactions, and we're just gonna ignore it and leave it be because they're so interlaced, and like everything has to do with anything else. So the point of that is that's how, like, when you sear a steak and it gets brown, it's that. It's also the same. It's also caramelizing, which is sugars.
Okay.
But it's the same. It's all kind of Maillard reactions. A lot of times people differentiate between browning and caramelizing, and they kind of just, Maillard is only the browning. Technically, it's the caramelizing too. But so blackening garlic, blackening like this is where you commit the Maillard reactions over an extraordinarily long amount of time. So these apples were held at 140 degrees for 50 days in a vacuum sealed bag. And so you don't have to vacuum seal everything you blacken, and not everything blackens well because it breaks down cell structure too. So garlic, you can just wrap in foil, throw in like a dehydrator set to 140 degrees, come back, and not everything takes the same amount of time either, but like 30 to 80 days, depending on what it is. But then they get really caramely, or like dark, like caramelized sugar, like that kind of thing. But so this is an apple. This was an apple picked from my grandma's tree, half of an apple. And then it's also dehydrated afterwards so that it can retain structure so it doesn't just disintegrate. But look at how black it is. Like, it's so black.
You can't just say that about an apple.
Yeah. And so I've saved 2 of them for letting people taste. And then the others, they went into a jar with Calvados, which is a French brandy, but it's made from apples and pears instead of grapes. And so they're soaking in there for Potentially forever. I don't know. We'll see. But it'll make the brandy all like sweet and delicious and tasty, and then it'll also make it just everything will be happy and tasty.
You're like the Bob Ross of chefs. Way to go. Nice happy apple. Peace.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.
Peace. Peace among us. Yes. Goodwill to men.
And then we have one more thing after this.
It tastes like a apricot. I mean, like a dried, like a plum plus apricot.
But one that has like a lot of work put into it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks.
It's really good.
Yeah, that is good. I would not expect it to have that kind of.
It's still got quite a bit of sourness too.
I thought it was gonna be like charcoal.
Right? Because it's so black.
Yeah, that's interesting. But thank you.
Yep. And then this is a pine.
It's really tart after kind of.
Yeah.
It's not like
It has
really.
like
It's
a
just lingering. Yeah.
afterbirth.
Yeah. Afterbirth.
Very fruity. Subtle yet refined.
So this is pine cone syrup.
Pine cone syrup.
Yeah. So I went and foraged a bunch of baby ponderosa pine cones that look like little alien fruits. They're purple and spiky and tiny. They're pretty cool looking, but they don't candy super well. So I just made this syrup out of it, and it's real intense.
Should I just put like my spoon or spoon?
Yeah. Just
You wanna so I can double it on? Or?
sure. I don't really care.
Okay.
It's all right. It's also really good for lung health.
Lung health.
Yeah, respiratory system.
Like elderberry kind of?
Yeah, but
How does that work?
So
why is it good for it? I'd tell you, but I don't know.
do you like brioche?
Did you ever had elderberry syrup when you were sick?
Nope.
Nope. It's really, really good for you apparently, but I don't know exactly why.
Drippy.
Whoa.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's real intense.
It like takes all the moisture out of your tongue.
super
almost.
dry. It's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
But you can get the taste in before that happens. It's very sweet.
It almost has like a vanilla-y.
It reminds me
There's
of
nothing in there except for pine cones and sugar and water
like when you
and salt.
taste some paper covering for like a food, like you're cutting something and then you get a little bit of that in your mouth. It's like, oh man, it's like all the moisture's gone.
Wow. I'm impressed.
You shouldn't be, but thanks.
Why shouldn't we be?
Why shouldn't we be, John? All right, and now we are on to speed round with back. Oh, no, this is my coffee.
Not the questions.
Alrighty. Johnny, will you do the honor?
Yeah, who am I asking?
It's collectively.
Oh. Describe your dream girl.
Thomas, you want to start?
The answer is no, he doesn't, but he will anyway because you asked him
Describe your
to.
dream girls. That's also not a question, by the way. Just so we're all clear. That's
It's just a statement.
It's describe your dream girl.
wasn't the question?
Describe your dream, girl. There's no girls here.
It's a call to action.
Yeah.
What is your call to action, John? I mean, Thomas.
There's Thomas. That's a really tough one. I don't know, because so here's something. I remember in youth camp at Crossover, there was one time where we did kind of like a sexual identity kind of themed winter camp, I think it was. And one of my leaders recommended like that I come up with a list. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that before, but like, you know, when you're thinking about your future spouse, what's important to you, and like write it down on a list of priority. And I always thought that was the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know, it seems almost shallow, like saying, oh, you know, I want a girl who looks like this, or like is like this height, or I don't know, has these features about them. I guess it's more about the personality, and everyone, of course, is going to say that, but I really don't know. That's a very difficult question. I don't really think about that very much, I guess. Does anyone else have something while I rambled that they actually thought of?
No, that makes sense. I think saying, I don't know, dream, like, what's your dream girl is almost like superficial, I'd say, in a way. Because if you're like, I feel like maybe this is how I'm interpreting it, as if like you need certain like physical traits. Maybe, I don't know. I'd say when you're looking for a spouse, or it kind of goes back to the whole relationship thing. It's like,
So looking for a spouse.
dream girl. Like if you know, as long as they're
It's almost like just a question of what are you attracted to, I guess. Seems like to me.
Well, let's go with the dream girl though. I'm
what do you mean by the dream girl?
A girl that doesn't exist in real life.
Hey, that's
yeah, beat me to it. I was going to say that I
Sorry.
like growing up, as you know, is when you're really immature, but you start having those like attractions. Of course, you have like a dream girl, but I've recently, I don't know, I'm not attracted to a dream girl. Like in the very essence of the word, it's not real. It just can't be real. No one is a dream girl. I find myself being attracted to real girls. I think real girls are far more attractive.
That's fair, yeah.
I
don't really like this question.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tie dream girl back to like, what do you look for?
well, I'll say mine.
Give a name.
Yes, yes. It's a very specific person.
Do you have?
No, not even just a specific person. Just my dream girl has to be named this.
Oh yes, just the name. Someone that's pretty, but in a very broad speaking, can be lots of different pretty.
Yeah, what does pretty mean to you?
I'm just gonna say it's just someone that's at least semi in shape, and that's
Someone takes care of themselves.
You wouldn't want to be on my 600-pound life.
correct. But it doesn't even. You don't even have to be like that in shape. Just moderately healthy.
That's fair.
Two very healthy. Yeah, and then other than that, I'd say someone that is not weak. And let's go with that. We'll just keep it simple.
Mentally, spiritually, physically. Yeah, okay.
Have you guys ever watched Much Ado About Nothing?
No.
No? Oh man, there's this really great quote from there where this character, this confirmed bachelor, is talking about his ideal woman, like the only woman who could actually get my attention. And he's describing it. And it's absolutely hilarious. One of the points is at the very, very end, and her hair shall be what color pleases God. Like just after list point, like rich she must be, wise, noble, all these things. But her hair, I'll leave that up to the Almighty. Yeah.
You gotta love Jesus. And then,
Good one.
yeah. They have to be not on my 600-pound life. I will say that. Okay, next question. Oh, wrong mug.
Wrong one.
Again.
Alrighty. Favorite Christmas movie and why? That's a tough one. I have multiple ones. I love Elf. Classic. This is, cliche.
Great.
I really enjoy The Polar Express.
You were saying that earlier.
Every time I watch the Polar Express, I want to drink hot chocolate.
Hot. Do you want to sing the song, Thomas? Do you have a good voice? Sing the
Which
Tom, the hot.
Oh, no.
Just look in the camera. Just look in the camera.
Favorite Christmas movie?
There's too many to count.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I've already said mine several times.
I know Home Alone is like one that people consider a classic. I wouldn't call that my favorite one though. Like,
For some reason, I never associate Home Alone with Christmas. I know it's the entire point.
Do you associate Die Hard with Christmas?
No.
I have a good argument actually for that.
Well, a lot of them take place during.
So Die Hard.
Oh, I wasn't. But.
So a Christmas movie is when if you take Christmas out of the plot, the plot like completely falls apart. That's what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. So with Die Hard, you literally can't have the movie without Christmas. Like the whole plot is structured around they're at Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah.
It's during Christmas. The main character, what is his name, John or whatever?
Yeah.
Like the only reason that he's there is because of that Christmas work party. Like
That's a very good point.
You should go on Reddit. You should go on Reddit and just make sure all those threads say that.
But my favorite Christmas movie is probably It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. Amen. I was actually just about to say that. I've just been saying again and again in every conversation I've been having, It's a Wonderful Life, maybe one of the best films ever made. It's so good. It's so, it's definitely my life goal, actually. Like if I could say any movie, it was like, that's
what about A Christmas Carol?
Yes.
A Christmas Carol. So the thing is, though, which version? There are about 30.
Yeah, right.
I think
just the book.
The book. I just
my favorite Christmas book.
Yes.
Even though it's not.
The original book by Charles Dickens was a great Christmas movie, without a doubt. Really good Christmas movie. Tight cinematography. Christmas Carol is a pretty good one. The one with Alistair Sims is pretty good. There was a TV version with not Ian McKellen, but Sir Patrick Stewart, which was actually quite good. And then, of course, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Classic. I once played Scrooge, and I actually had to watch all the versions that I could find, including a 10-minute silent film. That was one of the first silent films ever made. Yeah.
I love Frosty the Snowman.
It's a good one.
Everybody's like, oh.
All right, next question. What was your favorite Christmas present when you were a kid and why? This one's from my mom. Thanks, Mom.
So you go first.
Oh, golly. I really loved getting... I've never been big into getting presents. It's never been something that I like. Oh my gosh, I love opening presents. Mm-hmm. But when I was little, I would say I loved getting like Star Wars lightsabers. I remember I got like the lightsaber kit where you could like build your own lightsaber when I was little. Mm-hmm. And you could like switch out like the lens. So like you could have it was different color lightsaber. That was
super cool.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah.
I don't know. One gift which I remember, partially because it's just lasted all these years, is a firearm. I got when I was about 13. I was given a 20 gauge shotgun, which was a lasting gift, but that was also just a passage from desiring gifts that are frivolous to desiring things which will last, like practical gifts. So yeah, that's definitely a gift which I remember and I'm very thankful for.
I think it was Christmas when there was a guitar case under the tree one time, and it ended up like being when my dad gave me his guitar that was just sitting in the basement. Because Mom and Dad made me play piano for 3 years before I could play guitar, and that's all I wanted to do. And then like there was no guitar in the case, like it turned out to be hidden in the house. I think I had to go find it or something.
Nice.
But that was really cool because like similar reason.
Yeah.
Like, a lasting gift that like started a really big part of my life.
Carries meaning.
Yeah.
Your what? Mine didn't last.
Oh. So. Your lightsaber, you don't have it still?
Actually, I'm sure it's somewhere in a box, maybe.
I don't really have a specific gift, but I have a very weird Christmas tradition, but because two different families. But my mom's house, her and my stepdad would always like number the presents, and then so like the first presents you open would be like clues to the last present you open, but you'd have no idea what they were. I can't even think of any specifically off the top of my head. Oh, like one was a foosball table that was downstairs. But like all the rest of the gifts I had, there was like a bunch of them, but they were all like clues to the foosball table, you know, and they had to like, and then I found out there's foosball table downstairs, and that was cool. But like things like that is but the actual like the fun part is the participate. Yeah. For sure.
Okay. What are you trying to do for a career and why? But speedily. Yeah. Robbie, you start.
I intend to move to Peru, where I shall live as a goat. No, just kidding. I don't know exactly what my career shall be, but I have a lot of experience in the art or the the practice of acting. So I really am into performing arts / film / theater, storytelling in general. So I think that my career will somehow be tied to that, but I couldn't say exactly how. Yeah, I don't have my future planned.
Hey, Chef Johnny, what's your career?
Oh, I don't know. I'm done. I don't need to pick one anymore. I'm there. I did it. I cook food for people. That's what I do.
You gonna start a winery one day? Brewery?
I can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It seems like you're pretty interested in that. Would that be something that you might like do both or want like cooking or?
Yeah. I could, I don't know. A lot of possibilities. As long as you don't decide, you can still do anything you want. Just the key is you just never make a decision.
So there really is a career track for people who are indecisive.
He's been telling me this since like sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
And
I'm lucky. I knew what I wanted to do since I was like this tall and like from the table, like this tall. I was born with it. My dad's a chef.
So he's probably the one that encouraged you the most, would you
say? He tried to get me to not be a chef as hard as he could. Oh. Yep. But it's the love of... I remember in high school, we'd get projects about like writing essays about like whatever, in something important. And I have philosophies based on how the world works based on food.
That's awesome.
I'll just put it that way. But yeah, and I'd write papers on it, and I'd like, you'd have to like tell them what you're going to write your paper about, like when you're a freshman, because they're like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I'd tell them, and they'd be like, you can't do that. And be like, watch me. Or like we'd have to pick people like to do things on. I always pick chefs, and yeah, the teachers were not very happy about it. I did our junior project on fermentation. I did it on
the
food.
Senior, what's it called? Not this.
Journeys.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did the same journeys. I used the same thing twice.
Me too.
Do it twice.
Did you really?
Do you have to do it twice?
Journeys. You do junior and senior year.
Really?
Yeah.
You use the same thing twice?
Yeah. I did both of them on worship, and nobody cared. Apparently. Well, I'm sure they cared about worship, but like they didn't pay attention to the fact that
I only remember doing one.
I'm very proud of you.
Maybe you did the same thing twice too.
I very much could have.
I'm doing that,
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you do yours on?
I don't know.
Or we shouldn't talk about speed round. Sorry.
Speed round.
What was the question again?
Career endeavors. What do you want to do for career?
Oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Right now I'm trying to get a degree in the program at SEC for radiology technician or technologist, I guess that's what it's called. But I think that doing worship ministry will most likely always be a part of what I'm doing, whether that's a career or just like serving. Yeah, it's like I clearly have some sort of gift that's, I didn't make myself this way. Like God made me the same way that you're a chef. And so it's like, I got to use it. And I can't just let it go. So
that's how I feel about theater and the arts. I don't want to, I strongly don't want to, I don't like the culture. I don't necessarily like hanging out with people in the same field. I think most actors are really horrible people, but one can't help their own leaning.
Mm-hmm. I actually hate sales with a passion. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll ever have one job. I really love investing. So kind of right now my plan is to start an insurance brokerage next year, because you kind of just get the consistent revenue, and then you can build up a book of business, because everyone needs insurance. Mm-hmm. You're in a recession, you need insurance. So then you just kind of build up a book of you have your clients, and then start other businesses and invest in things. And ultimately though, I do want to get my PhD and be a professor, maybe teach a leadership class or business class one.
Oh, I wouldn't mind teaching history too.
Teaching history would be fun.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind teaching an art or something like that, but that's only because a lot of I've been to really poorly led classes, so I want somebody to teach it so you can understand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these in the liberal arts, it's really difficult to find a good professor. But yeah. What's the next question?
Favorite Disney movie?
That's so tough. There's
okay. Let's all just agree that there's so many good ones, and we just need to pick one. Okay.
Collectively, we can all come up with one. Okay, how about we just take 1990s to 2010?
No,
just
I
20
disagree.
years.
All of my favorite movies are the old one. I like Pinocchio, Beauty and the Beast, and Peter Pan.
You know,
Three favorites.
Peter Pan is great.
Beauty and the Beast is kind of, I think that's a 90s movie. But Pinocchio is from the 1930s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what?
Disney Pinocchio, bro.
Yeah.
1930s. You're like, holy cow. Such a good movie.
Peter Pan's one of my favorite. I really like Swiss Family Robinson.
That's a good one.
Which is that Disney or did they buy it out?
Okay.
Disney bought the world.
May our Disney overlords love and protect us. We don't want to talk badly about any Disney movie, so we can only say the most positive one. Yeah. We don't want our overlords.
Not like the indoctrinating Frozen movies.
Yeah. So I actually, it really depends on live action or animated, because animated, I really liked Big Hero 6 when I watched it. I don't remember too much about it. I've only seen it, I think, maybe once or twice, but Big Hero 6 I really enjoyed. Do you guys recall that one?
Yeah.
I thought it was actually a good superhero movie, much better than the other superhero movies which Disney is putting out these days. And then secondly, as a live action one goes, the Kenneth Branagh Cinderella is actually one of my favorites. Like,
My mom really likes
I
that movie.
really like it. As a film, and as the acting goes and the writing, I think it's the best Cinderella I've seen, definitely. And that, I'm comparing it to the original folktale of Aschenputtel. So, I think it really ranks up there.
You know, you mentioned Frozen earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So Joey Beale's not here today. By the way, it was,
I didn't even totally forgot that he should be here.
no,
Probably.
he's not here though. Anyways, his senior year, he recorded and played in front of the entire Northwest Christian School Let It Go, Frozen Let It Go. It's somewhere in the back of deep in my phone somewhere. I have it, or it's on something. So whenever someone watches this,
unironically.
next time you see Joey Beale, ask him. Say Ethan says you have to play the song Frozen, or we'll find. Yeah, it's somewhere. I'll find it.
Since we're talking about cooking so much, and actually I've watched it so many times recently, a lot of us have, but yes, Ratatouille is probably like one of my all-time favorite Disney movies.
So that can't quite count though, because it's Disney Pixar. Because Pixar. If we want to talk about Disney Pixar takes the cake. Like, just all of their movies are much, much better than Disney movies. But for, like, Disney specifically, is there any Disney movie like Emperor's New Groove?
That's great.
Great Mouse Detective.
So many
Great Mouse Detective.
Ratatouille.
All the way.
Yes.
All right.
Ratatouille. Okay, here we go. Last question. Family Christmas traditions.
Well, I can start if you guys want.
Yeah.
I would spend the night at my real dad's grandparents' house, Christmas Eve. And then we'd open presents Christmas morning, stockings. Everybody gets scratch tickets in their stockings. And to this day, like 30 years of scratch tickets and stockings, no one has ever won anything useful. Like nothing over like $10, you know? It is very disappointing. Yes. I don't know how that started. And we get pistachios in our stockings and oranges. And then presents, and then we eat eggs Benedict, which my grandma makes, but she makes cheese sauce instead of hollandaise sauce. That's like an old family recipe cheese sauce. And then from there, when I was a kid, my mom would come pick me up because I didn't have a car, and I'd go to my mom's house, and then I'd open presents at my mom's house and do stockings, and then we'd eat again there something breakfasty, because it's still like mid-afternoonish, brunchy, you know. And then we do that whole thing, like I said earlier, with like the numbered gifts and all that stuff, and that'd be fun. And then from there, I would go to my grandma's on my mom's side, and we'd open presents again, and then we'd have family late dinner, early lunch, and that's extended family, so aunts, uncles, cousins.
We've had one, yes. What about second lunch?
That's right. The hobbits, and then we go home and pass out into a coma from all the food we ate.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Thomas, you?
We really don't have very many traditions in my family. Like, we'll kind of switch it up every other year.
Oh, sorry. And I spy on the Christmas tree ornaments. Key. Yeah. Anyway.
So sometimes we'd host at our place, and then sometimes we'd host at our aunt's place. The last Christmas was, of course, no tradition because my parents don't live in the US right now. So the only tradition that we've really held on to was making waffles with strawberry sauce for breakfast. So we'd maybe do stockings and then eat and then do gifts, or the other way around, gifts, eat, then stockings. But and then we'd do something in the evening, whether we'd host or actually the biggest Christmas tradition, I guess, if we're hosting, is normally we would clean the house right after we open gifts until 4.
That's funny.
And we would always get super upset with each other because there's stuff that needs to be done. People aren't doing it. And so we'd get all tense, and then family would come over. So great recipe for good times, I guess.
That's funny.
Yes.
How about you, Ethan?
Yeah. So I'd say Christmas Eve, we'd go to church always. We'd have Christmas Eve dinner, and it would be my grandma and my aunt and my family. And then my dad and brothers love The Christmas Story, Ralphie.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
it's on 24/7. I always watched it and appreciated it, but I never was as obsessed with having to watch it. But I don't remember a time where I haven't watched The Christmas Story on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas, we would always have breakfast before we opened presents, and we'd always have to get most of the dishes done before we could open presents. So when me and my brothers were very impatient because we'd wake up at 6, and then my parents would wake up later, and then we'd eat breakfast, and then they'd clean, and then it's just come on, it's 11:30 and we haven't opened presents yet. So that's kind of how we would structure things, and then we'd have Christmas dinner, which a lot of times was ham and
Nice.
ham type stuff. And watch football. I mean basketball. I'd always watch the Lakers by myself downstairs.
Oh my. Well, in my family, we have some German heritage. So, and we're talking about traditions. There's been a breakdown of traditions, both with, the COVID, but even before then, we're getting more of an empty nest, families moving out, brothers and sisters getting married, things like that. Or sisters getting married and having their own families. So it makes it a little bit harder. And not to mention, we live a long distance from our extended family, so we can't really do much there. But yeah, so the one tradition we've kind of been keeping is normally on Christmas Eve, we will go into a Christmas Eve service. Then also for food, we get pomegranates, which is something specifically associated to Christmas because of the tradition. We always get pomegranates around Christmas, and chocolate oranges. And I don't know if you have ever had that. Those are just amazing. I don't know why they're season specific. They should just be year round. And then we do the Christmas opening. But recently we've been getting away from presents. We just don't do it nearly as much. And I don't find very much meaning in it. Like Ethan was saying before, it's not as big of a deal.
I love giving presents. I just don't really necessarily like receiving presents so much.
It's like receiving a compliment. I mean, what do you do now?
Yeah, that's true. I'm so awkward at receiving compliments.
Ethan, you're beautiful and I love you.
Thomas, you're a really great guy. See you. More questions. We should sing a Christmas song.
Nope.
We wish you
Wait, hold on.
We could do that. We could wish everyone a Merry
Okay,
Christmas.
acapella. You ready?
Nope.
Hold on.
Oh, you gotta look it up.
I'm looking for it.
You don't trust our music skills.
What would we sing though?
Oh, we can sing Josh.
Hey everyone. Just
When
Merry
Christmas comes to town.
No, yeah.
Anyway, is that the end of the questions?
Yeah, that's it.
Really? No way.
Wow, he took out a bunch, but
Oh, we did take out the racist questions.
Jingle bell rock.
no.
It's not good.
I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer.
I'm a lover and a fighter and a drinker.
All right, so thank you for joining our special Christmas episode featuring Jonathan, Thomas, Robbie, and Ethan. You guys are great guys. Thoroughly appreciate you guys being here. Top notch. Best guys I know. We appreciate all of you guys watching our podcast, and we'll see you next year.